Hi everyone, welcome to the first video of our DSA playlist in Python. Now, as I said, I will be starting the playlist from the scratch. So before moving on with any concept, we will come to know what is Python and what are the pros and cons of Python. Okay, so what is actually Python? Python is a high level language. Okay, what does high level means? This high level means the way that we use programming in Python, it is understood by us, but if it has to be understood by the machine or the system, it needs to be converted into binary code, or we can say machine code. Fine. And the other thing is Python is interpreted language. Now what does interpreted means? Interpreted means that when we are trying to execute the Python code, it will be executed line by line. Okay. So if the interpreter finds any error in the error in any line of code, it will stop there and it will show the error. It will not there are two types of means programming language. One is interpreted, one is compiled. So in interpreted, the code is checked line by line whether is it, whereas in compiled, what it is happening is it will be executing the entire code at once, and it will show the entire all the errors present in the code at once. But Python follows interpreted programming, so in this every line of code is checked one by one, and you will be shown any error present for every line according to that. Okay, now why is Python famous, right? It is famous because it is very easy and simple to learn. Okay, means if you are a beginner also and you are provided a Python code, you can predict what it is trying to do, or it is very easily readable. Okay, and the other thing is Python is also procedural language. The other thing is it is also a OOPS language, that is it follows object oriented programming, and it is a functional programming language. Now what does OOPS mean? OOPS means we know object oriented programming, and that means that Python also has classes, object, then it will also have inheritance, encapsulation, polymorphism. So in the upcoming videos we will see those. And functional programming means we can make functions, right? Or we can divide the entire program into various modules of functions, and we can execute those. Okay, so this is what like uh, functional programming means. Functional programming actually makes our work easy. Let's say I will just take an example. Okay, I need to reverse a I need to reverse every word in an array. Okay, now what I can do is let's say, or I can say that I need to reverse a number, and I I have two numbers. Okay, and this is not an array. This is not an array. I am taking two numbers separately. Okay. I just mentioned array. You don't have to worry about it if you have not means heard about it. We will come to know about it in the upcoming videos. Let's say just for now we are taking two numbers. Those are different, right? Now, if we want to reverse those, okay, what I can do is for every number I can write a reverse function, or I can just write one reverse function and send that numbers to that function one by one. Okay, so this is called functional programming, where means divide our code into different functions, and it makes our work very easy. Okay, now what are the pros and cons of Python? Okay, so for pros we can say is, for pros we can go with the most important pro is I can say readability. Fine, because it is very easy to read. Even like I said that if you even if you are beginner and you are provided with a Python code, you can understand. Okay, so it is very easily readable and it is very simple to understand. The other one is versatility. Okay, now what does versatility means Python can be used for more than one type of thing, for performing more than one type of versatility. So we can use Python for performing more than one type of task. Like we can use Python for web development. Okay, we can use Python for web scraping. Now, what is web development? Like the website, like we see on the internet, whatever website you come through, it is formed using any of the programming language. So Python also can be used for that. What does web scraping means? Means let's say we have some data on a website, okay, and I want to fetch that. So I can use Python in order to crawl into that website and get all the data from it. Then the other thing is ML, okay, machine learning. This is a very like Python is very important in the field of ML. Okay, like there is R also, but nowadays Python is used mostly, and ML and AI. Okay, AI also. Python plays a very important role in this field, and then I can say is like process like automating something. Okay, so let's say we have some we have to perform some test. Okay, so Python has a Selenium framework. Okay, so we can use that in order to automate our testing and work. Okay, so the other pro of Python is it has like extensive libraries present. Okay, means there are so many libraries, you just need to import those in your import those in your code and you can use it simply. There is no issue with that. Means for everything, mostly everything, you will find a library in Python. And one more important is, let's say sometime you are stuck with an error, okay, and you can like find so many documentations, and there are so many communities using Python. Okay, so even if you have, if you are stuck somewhere, you will always find help when you are using Python. So it has like a big community. Not only big, it has an active community. Means if you have some doubt, you can get your responses very fast. Active community. And the other thing I said was documents. Means you will find so many documentations, right? The other thing is it is interpreted language. Now let's say you are writing some code. Okay, you have written an entire code, and what is happening is, now if it is a compiled language, okay, so many a times it happens they will show you the error, but you will not know in which line you have the error. Okay, so in Python we have this like positive, or we can say pros, that it is an interpreted language, so you will always know where you are making a mistake. Okay. Now the other thing is it has a cross-platform compatibility. That means that you can use the Python code anywhere on any operating system. It is scalable. Okay, you can make large applications using it. These are some of the basic pros. Okay. Now, like since I said that Python is an interpreted language, okay, so what happens here? Your code will be checked line by line, and for if you are finding any error, your code will be stuck there, okay. So, like we can say that its performance is somewhat slow, okay, because it is checking the code line by line. So, what is happening is it is not that fast. In like in C++ or we can say Java, our code will run very fast. Okay, so in the case of performance, you need to optimize your code more than in any other language that is compiled. Okay, and then like I said that we can use Python for web development and all. There is a choice that you can use Python in mobile development, but it is not that functional. Okay, so you cannot use Python, like it is not a good choice for using in like mobile development. And now what we can say is, the other thing is game development. Okay, since the performance is like little low, okay, so in game development and all, we prefer C++ instead of Python. Okay, so everything has its own pros and cons, right? We can use Python in a lot of fields, like we can use in ML, AI, and other type of fields. But in case of game development or mobile development, like we don't prefer Python. We can go with Java or C++ according to our own requirements. Okay, so these are the different pros and cons. There can be a few more. I discussed only a few. Okay, now in this video, with this explanation, I will explain data types, and then after that we will wrap up for this video. Now, like any other language, Py one important thing about Python is it is dynamically typed language. Now, what does that mean is means you don't have to define the data type of your program, okay, or your variable that you are using. It will the interpreter will understand on its own, and it will assign a like data type to it. Okay, so let's say if I am defining a string, okay, then if I am trying to print it, this will get printed fine. But if I try to change it, like now it is I am changing into integer, it will get changed into integer. It will like there are no restrictions to it. Okay, because now once we are making it into a string, we are not defining it with any data type, right? We don't have any restriction here. We can simply change it into integer according to our use. This is not like a good programming habit, but I am just saying that if you are required to use it somewhere where you try to use only one variable or something like that, then you can go with it, because you don't have to like assign the data type. It will change on its own. Okay, now we will move on to the data types present in Python. Okay, so what are the various data types present in Python? We will see that now. The various data types are, first of all, we will have some numeric data types. Okay, so like in any other language, or we have two types of data numeric data types here. We have integer and we have float. Okay, so integer, what it does is it will store only integer values. What I mean by that is it will not store any decimal values. Okay, so if you have 3, 8, 3, 50, 100, Python is going to be fine with it. It will be returned as an integer. And now let's say you have some real values. Okay, um this integer will include negative values also. Okay, integer means all the like any number in the number line that is present from negative to positive. But in case of float, like here we could not include the decimal values, right? In float, that that we can include the decimal values also. From the negative to the positive, that is not an issue. We can use like it can store 3.2, any real time number that is present, 3.25, any number that is present, we can store like it will be any number that is a decimal number, it will be treated as a float value. Okay, now for the other data types that are present is string. Okay, so now what is string? String is a like it is a sequence of character. Okay, so it comes under sequence data type. What is sequence data type? Means the values that are stored, it will be stored in some pattern. Okay, so let's say I am storing Ankita. So what it is a sequence of characters, right? This Ankita A N, it will come one after another. Okay, so it will be stored in that way only. So the other data type that we have seen is it is string. We use double inverted commas, or we can use single inverted comma also to store the string values. Okay. Now we come across an important data type, that is list. You might have heard of arrays. If not, then no issues. We will discuss here. Array or list is same in Python. Okay. So what is a list or an array? in this what we do is we store elements. Okay, we store elements with proper, like, since it is a dynamically typed language and we don't have to define any proper data type to it, so here what we can do, we can store anything inside our list. Okay, so our list can store number also, and with that we can store string also. It is not an issue with Python. Like if you are using array Java or any other language like C++, so there what happens, you have already defined the data type for your array. Okay, so let's say you have defined that it is an integer type array, so you can only store integers there. Okay, but in Python you can use integer, float values, you can even store a list inside another list. Okay, so there is no restriction with that. According to your requirement, you can add any values in your list. Now, the third thing is tuple. Okay. Now, it is also like list only. You can store values inside it. Okay. But the difference between both of them is, like, we are using square brackets here, right? But here we will be using curved brackets, and we can store any values inside this. Okay, 2, 3, anything. And the difference between list and tuple is, this is mutable. Okay, what does mutable means? If we are making changes inside this list, okay, any at any point of index, then it will be visible in this list. Okay, but if we are using tuple, okay, then if we are trying to make changes at this index, it is not possible. Okay, it is immutable. So in the string is also immutable. Okay, if you are trying to, like, uh, let's say I want to insert any value here. Okay, so I cannot do just means, let's say I am trying to insert, so st dot insert whatever you have value at that index, and you leave it like this. Okay, so it will not work. You will have to store that value into st again. So now this st, when we are assigning this value, that means it is storing a total new value inside that, right? So that is the difference between mutable and immutable. Like in list, what we can do, let's say I want to sort it. Okay, so what I did, list dot sort. Now what will happen, this list that in which we are storing these values, it will get sorted. We don't have to reassign that value. Okay, here we don't need to do this. It will simply make changes inside that list only. But in case of tuple, okay, what we have to do, we need to reassign that, so that whatever changes we are making, it will be visible. Okay, so these are the differences. These are the differences between the list and tuple. These are both are mostly same. Okay, the difference between them is mutable and immutable. Okay, now after this what we have sets. Okay, now what is sets? Now in our in an array or a tuple, we can store, like, duplicate values. Okay, but in set what happens, you will not be able to store duplicate values. It will store, like, I can have a list with 1 2 times. Okay, but in a set it is not possible. It will only store one time. Yeah, so this is a set. What does set mean? It will store unique values, and you cannot sort a set. Okay, because set does not have indexing. Doesn't have indexing. In array, right, or a list, we have indexing. Okay, so you can access your, like, we have 1 comma 2. Okay, so if you want to access this one, so you can use that index value. Okay, what are the indexes? Now indexes is the memory location, okay, at which point, like, the value is getting stored. Okay, and the indexing in a string or a list starts from 0. So we will have 0 and 1. Now if I want to, let's say I have used li. Okay, now I want to access this one. So how I will use? I will simply use the index value li of 0, and I will print that. So we can use the index value in the list, but in set it does not have indexing, so you cannot get the value as such. Okay, now we have seen set. In the same way we have map. Okay, now what happens in map is like, um here what we are doing, we are storing unique values, right? Here also we will be storing unique values. The only difference is we will have a key value pair. Now what does this mean is key will be a unique entity, okay, which will act as like it will be unique for every value, okay. Like this value can have an array, it can have anything, but what happens to key? It will be a unique value, okay. And if you are, I want to add, I have one, okay, and I want to add 2 and 3 into it. I have two keys here, okay, 2 and 3. Now if I want to store this in our map, it is not possible. What I need to do here is I will have to store, I will take 1 as a key and I will store 2 and 3 as a value for that. I cannot have more than one same keys, or I cannot have duplicate keys. So because this key that we are having, it acts as a unique identity or like an ID that we have in our tables, right? So we can access the value using that key. Now the other data type that we have is Boolean. So Boolean has two values. It is either true or false, right? It can either be 0 or 1. So what does true or false mean? What is Boolean data type? In this we will be storing true or false values. Means let's say I want to return something where we are checking some condition. Let's say I want to check that I can vote or not, okay. So in that condition what happens? If you are greater than or equals to 18, then only you can vote, right? So what will be your true condition? That your age is greater than or equals to 18. So that is the point of using Boolean data type, that it will be defining what condition we are seeing is true or what is false. So it works in that way. So this is it for this video. In this video we discuss what is Python programming and what are the various data types present in Python programming. So we'll wrap up here and we'll meet in the next video where we will discuss something new again.